Welcome back to the 8-Man Breakdowns podcast. This is where we discuss all phases of the game of football, including philosophy, play concepts, questions, and more. And joining us today is Coach Andrew Capsey. Coach Capsey is now heading into his second year of coaching varsity football, and he just recently accepted the head coaching position at Solomon High School in Solomon, Kansas, which is actually his former school. I was lucky enough to have had the chance to coach Coach Capsey during his junior and senior years at Solomon High School in 2016 and 2017, and he was certainly one of the most self-motivated and disciplined players that I've coached. Well, Coach, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
So tell us about yourself, your high school playing days, and how you got into coaching football.
So I'm originally from Solomon, Kansas. Played for some great coaches, Coach Cross, Coach Cope, Coach Tiernan. Played underneath you, actually. Coach Strait, Coach Long. There's a whole bunch of guys that I could list. So I played Solomon for 4 years. After high school, I played at Kansas Wesleyan for a semester. Then I transferred to Wichita State to continue my education and get my teaching degree at Wichita State.
So this year was your first year as an assistant at Meade. Kind of just tell us a little bit about your time at Meade this year. What did you learn most this year as a first-year coach?
Yeah, so I was really blessed with the opportunity to go out to Meade this year. They just came off of a undefeated state championship season, so able to work with a lot of different guys. Coach Coons does a great job with those kids. All those kids are bought in, so when I got there, expectations were high. That's where they need to be with those kids. The number one thing that I learned this year is just be true to yourself. The kids will see right through you if you're trying to be fake or trying to do something that's not really who you are. The kids know if you're genuine, they'll buy into whatever you're selling.
And I know you were the AD there at Meade, the high school AD, and then obviously coaching your first year ever coaching. Just talk about how you balanced being AD as a first-year AD and coaching and teaching all in your first year. How'd you kind of balance doing all those things?
Yeah, so it was a challenge at first. I had taught at a middle school, Hamilton Middle School in Wichita, second semester of the year before this. So I kind of had a little bit of teaching under my belt. Obviously, I didn't have a whole lot. Also, coming in being an assistant football and assistant track with a deep position while working at the high school was a lot on my plate. But I really leaned on the community, leaned on the administrators then in the building, and all the guys and people at Meade have really been a tremendous help for my success.
Like you said, just being yourself and being true to yourself, I'm sure that's helped you out, reaching out to others and learning as you go. So no doubt. So then here, just talk a little bit about this season. Like your first year at Meade, like you said, you guys were defending state champs. You knew you were going into a solid program with good athletes and good coaches. Kind of just tell us a little bit about this year, like what happened and what you learned the most about the football team itself this year.
Yeah, so this year we went in with the mindset that we had the target on our back. Every time we stepped on that field, we're going to get the best shot from whatever team that we faced across the field from. So our kids just had that mindset that it doesn't matter who we play, when we play them, where, we're going to get their best effort. And our kids really rose to the occasion. Over the last 2 years, our kids have been 22-2, and that's standing. Our kids buy in. Our kids know what it means. Our kids know what the price of winning is, and they know that being in the weight room, doing little things, that's just the admission price. Just by doing those things, that doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to be successful. That just means that now you've paid the price to even be where we want to be at. And our kids knew that. Our kids bought in. Our kids want them to do a lot of difference this year with Coach Coons being a new head coach. I was being new. All of our staff was new this year. And our kids really bought into what we were doing, and I think it worked out.
Yeah, no doubt. So let's talk a little bit more about this year. Were you guys able to stay pretty healthy? Like, how many guys did you have out on the team this year?
So if I remember correctly, we had 27 kids initially come out. So we had a lot of kids. That dwindled down with kids moving and different situations. I think our final number at the end of the year was 25, but that's still a really solid roster for 8-man school.
But did they all stay healthy pretty much?
Yeah, so we were pretty fortunate with health this year. We had some injuries. One of our receivers slash cornerbacks had tore his ACL halfway through the season, which is always a bummer. Um, Also, our quarterback had broken his hand in the last game of the season versus Hill City, so that didn't really work out in our favor. But it is what it is. It's part of the game, and our kids stepped up to the challenge.
So what are you looking forward to most going into next year?
So next year, I actually took a position to be the head coach from Solomon High School, which is where I'm from. It'll be good to get back into that area. So I'm really looking forward to connecting with those kids and letting know what I'm all about, and hopefully getting some buy-in and start to turn things around.
I don't remember what their record was this year, but what's your approach going into, obviously, like you said, your former school? What's your kind of approach going in for day one?
Well, in Meade, our kids bought in. Our kids knew what it took to even compete at that level. There's a quote I really like. It says, "You can beat 50% of your competition by consistently showing up and working hard. You can beat the next 40% by doing things with urgency and detail. The last 10% is simply a dogfight." And in Meade, we were in that last 10%, and it came down to a dogfight every single time. Just to get those kids to be in that 50%, start with that 50% of showing up and consistently showing up and working hard. Then we'll get to doing things with urgency and detail, and then we're in that last 10%, which is simply a dogfight.
So obviously heading into your first year as a head coach and your second year overall in coaching high school football, kind of tell us what your plan is to, continue growing as a coach.
Well, first, I think it starts with the kids. We're gonna build great relationships with these kids. We're gonna establish a foundation of accountability, and that's players, coaches, everyone, parent. So yeah, I've had some tremendous coaches over the years that I've still been in contact with. You for one, I mean I don't we text every so often, get in touch with different ideas, different things. Um, just the coaches that I've had and the success that they've had um, really factors into that. I really respect all the coaches that I've had, and I really admire all those guys. And I know that they have great knowledge, especially with the experience that they've had. Especially early on, trying to rely on some of that will be what I look to do.
And you coach Coombs, obviously. I'm sure you've built a pretty good relationship with him, so you can always text him, call him. I'm sure he'll be open and give you other
For
advice.
sure.
What's the plan looking like? Do you have multiple assistants on board already for you when you get there?
Yeah, so I know for a fact I have one assistant already lined up. I'll probably look for another one. I'm actually going to go meet him later this month to kind of introduce myself to the kids and kind of let them know what I'm all about.
So you've been an assistant coach. That was your first year this year as a high school assistant coach, and did you kind of run the defense?
It was kind of a team effort, but yes.
Okay. And so kind of just tell us a little bit like what are you looking for in an assistant? So you said you're looking for one right now. You've got one on board coming back probably. What are you looking for? What do you expect out of your assistant coaches?
Well, first thing, I'm looking for someone to develop young men of character. That gets lost. Football is a great game that I love, but if we can't build young people of character first and foremost, then I don't want you on my staff or on my team. Um, and that kind of starts with the foundation of accountability. That starts with relationships, trust, respect, communication, and those are all different aspects that I look for in any assistant coach.
Now I was kind of lucky when I came here. I didn't have to look for any coaches. All they actually had three assistants prior to me getting here, and so we had all three of them came back, and we have a small team, but we have four coaches for an 8-man high school football team, which is kind of cool. I
Yeah.
It helps me a lot when come practice time because I don't have to rely on one coach to do everything with one position group. I can have two go with O line, two go with back receivers. So, how many guys do you have returning? I mean, how many players are coming back, and what kind of pieces do you look forward to having come back for you to start at Solomon?
So we have quite a few kids coming back. There's a couple that stick out in my mind right now. We have a quarterback that's going to come back. He's going to be a senior next year. He was the all-league quarterback. I just got access to the film today, so I'll be watching more of that. But if you're all league quarterback in the league that in the Wheat State League that they compete in with teams like Little River and Gossel and Ken Galva and all those other teams, I mean, you got something there. And just trying to push all the buttons to get everything out of all of our kids is really what we're going to be looking forward to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as far as offense goes, kind of tell us like what type of approach are you taking? Are you going to be more of a tight team or kind of a spread team, or what kind of offensive style you think you'll have here this year?
Well, I kind of know what I would like to do in my head, but this might seem generic. Um, we're going to fit our scheme to our kids' skill sets. It doesn't matter if I want to do something and if I want to do something and it doesn't work, then I need someone to tell me that we're not doing it. And that comes back to those assistant coaches. You have to have great assistant coaches to be good at any level. So I'll rely on those guys. But in my mind, we want to be smash mouth. When you step on the field and you play Solomon, there's going to be a price to pay. And our kids are already going to have that price paid in the room at practice. Our price will be paid. But that other team, whoever it is, they're going to have a price to pay when they step on the field with us.
I think a lot of teams want to be physical and definitely do that, but you do got to put the work in the weight room. Translates 100% to the football field. So back to your high school days, real fast. Would you say anything from your high school days that you playing offensively or defensively has kind of translated as far as into your coaching role that you're going to take into the game this year as a head coach?
I think you have to have that killer mindset. And I don't. Not everyone might not like that, but every time you're on the field, you have to impose your will on the other team. Doesn't matter if it's on special teams, if it's on offense or defense. Every time you're out there, you need to show who you are. Also, when you're out there, you have to know that you're representing not just you, but you're representing you, your family, your school, your community, everyone that's ever supported you. And we're gonna keep that in mind whenever we're doing something, and we're gonna show gratitude and respect to all the people that came before us.
I try to tell our guys we respect everybody, but we fear nobody. I stole it from somebody, I'm sure, but something we reiterated throughout the year quite often this year. So, here, last question, Coach. Only 2 years now of coaching or heading into your second overall. But what would you say is your biggest piece of advice to other people, other guys that want to be football coaches or be head football coaches one day?
Whether it's football, basketball, whatever it is, just build relationships with your athletes and your kids. Whether you're a football coach, basketball coach, tennis coach, it doesn't matter. Just build a relationship with your kids. The likelihood of these kids earning lots of money to play this game is very low. I can give you an example. There was a kid on our football team this year. His passion is basketball. Over the summer, he was playing AAU, and I just happened to be in the same city that he was playing in. And I sat in the gym for 2 or 3 hours just watching basketball. Just by doing that, that kid knows that I care for him. And that kid would do anything for me now just because I sat in that gym for a couple hours. And that really hit us on the football field. And it didn't take a whole lot of me telling him what to do or how to do it. He just knew. He trusted me because I built that relationship with him, and that's just what I would say to anyone that wants to be a coach.
Yeah, the relationship aspect is huge nowadays, and I'm not saying it wasn't before, but unfortunately, not a lot of kids have that strong male relationship aspect at home, and so football coaches sometimes get stuck being the father figure in somebody's life. So, absolutely.
One thing I'd add is sometimes we did take things too far, but we took things too far because of places to go, and we needed to get there quickly. Um, we needed to develop discipline and commitment in our kids, and I look to do each day when I'm in Solomon. Here's an example. We would push the sled every single day at practice, every single day. And some people might not like that approach, but we had places to go. We had things that we needed to do, and we needed to develop the discipline and commitment needed for daily improvement each and every day. We kind of explain that when we lose our pride in our performance, we're going to lose our pride and our capability of doing things the right way. So we hammered that sled every single day, and I think it I think it paid off for our kids in the long run.
Definitely. I mean, that is definitely one way you can build discipline. I mean, no matter what is going on that day, whether they don't feel like doing it, they're sick, tired, whatever else, they're just going to push the sled because they're going to be disciplined and do it the right way, even if they don't feel like doing it. I like that, pushing the sled every day.
Right. And even when we're in the weight room, I remind our kids, I say, hey, you remember that time that we lost to Wichita County or whoever it is? And they're like, yeah. And I tell them, I don't want you to feel that again. And that's just a little thing every single day. And I don't tell the kids every day. It's just when we get tired or we don't want to do this or that, I ask them, do you remember that? And oh, they know. They know it's go time underneath those kids.
Yeah. I've experienced a few losses, and I remember I always tell my guys to bottle that up, that feeling when you do lose, especially if you lose and you felt like you messed it up, you made mental mistakes or errors that ended up costing you the game. And so if that happens, bottle up that energy, channel it into the weight room. Definitely.
Right.
Coach, thanks again for taking the time to come on and do this. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you for having me on here. I've been following your channel. You've had some great coaches on here, and I look forward to you hearing from.
And that's going to do it for this episode of the 8-Man Breakdowns podcast. If you ever have a question for me, feel free to comment down below on this video or visit my bio to shoot me an email. If you've learned anything or enjoy any of these videos, please click subscribe and check out some of my other videos right here. And as always, guys, thanks for tuning in.